Hey guys, I'm Richard Fitzgerald. This is Dubai Works, where we interview the business leaders making a difference in this great city.
That business with scalability was very interesting to me.
I like building something that has legacy.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another week of Dubai Works Business Podcast. This week we have a very special guest. Allsopp is the founder and CEO of Allsopp Allsopp, a real estate firm started in Dubai in 2008. It has now grown to over 200 people with 4 branches in the UAE and 3 in the UK. He's a prominent figure in Dubai and has been voted the second most influential person in real estate by Property Times. Today, we're going to talk about the current business climate around COVID-19, the story of Allsopp Allsopp, and touch on the future trends in real estate. Welcome, Lewis. Good to speak to you.
Morning. How are you? Okay.
Very good, thanks. It looks like you're at home.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing the whole working from home thing. I think it's obviously everyone is at the moment, so it's just trying to adapt to your surroundings. I've got 2 pillows on my laptop. I've got the charging port here. My daughter's in bed upstairs, so I've got everything working at the same time.
You manage a lot of people. We touched on some of it there. How have you found working from home?
It's a double-edged sword. I think the negatives are it's not what it was previously in terms of atmosphere, camaraderie, the feeling. I mean, just to give you an example, we've got a 13,000 square foot office in Business Bay, and that alone, I went in there yesterday, and it's just not the same vibe. Bear in mind, I think we uploaded a video on your Loving Dubai page before, and it was everyone absolutely hammering the phones. And I went in there today, and it's just, yeah, it's 30%. So you're talking 50 people out of 250 that can go in there. It's just not the same. But what's good that's come out of this in business terms is we've really accelerated our digital presence and the way that we're doing our job. So, for instance, you know, our administrators are currently working remotely, and we've had no issues uploading new listings or pictures, and we've created new technology over accelerated periods, such as we no longer have receipts. We've digitalized every single receipt, so there's no paper receipts anymore on our application. You go in there, put the client's name, email address, picture of the checks, and we digitally send them a receipt. So there's been some good things that have come out of it. It's just how to accelerate our business, but it's definitely different.
The digital transformation, is that something that you'd started down a path on already, and obviously this has accelerated it?
Yeah, so I mean, about a year ago, we launched some technology. So we've effectively Uberized the whole real estate process. So everything from your viewing to your receiving your new listings to giving an offer to an owner, really, you don't even need to speak to an estate agent. If you really want to go down that process, everything is digitalized. So the minute that you go on our website, finish your viewing, we will push you to our website and say, hey, we need feedback on this specific viewing. When you put that feedback in, it goes directly to the owner. So the owner, one of the biggest, and the reason we've created just this basic tool is, I remember selling one of my properties, and once a viewing had finished, I was sitting thinking, why has this agent not called me? What happened with my viewing? And you just want to know. So we've taken the control away from even picking up the phone. The minute the viewing's finished, we will ask the agent, the buyer or tenant directly, what did they think of the house? And that will go straight to the owner. So yeah, we've gone down the whole route of the digitalization process already.
Interesting. And this is a kind of broader question, and connecting it to COVID-19. There's been some chat and business reports around how do we call them, property aggregators and different things like that at the moment. Going back to saying, the Uber for property, to explain to other people who aren't as familiar with the real estate business, we see how, say, media is disrupted from our point of view with a lot of programmatic and middlemen, etc. We hear a lot about the restaurant business with delivery aggregators. How is the real estate business and ecosystem developed over the last 10 years with digital, and where do you fit in all that?
So it's a funny story. I mean, technology has advanced so much since we started Allsopp. And also, I was telling one of the lads or boys in our office, quite a young lad, I think he's like 21. So when I set the company up, he would have been, what would he be? 11. So that just makes me feel really old. And I was telling him, I said, look, just to let you know, when we agreed a sale in 2008, we would send an MOU, agreed contract sale, to a buyer, and we wait at the fax machine. And so sometimes I wouldn't leave the office till 11 o'clock at night because I've got you waiting for that noise. And you're celebrating the fax comes through. And, the whole market has changed. For instance, we used to get signed contracts of sales, and now it's all DocuSign. 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, it would have been you printed it out, you scanned it, and you signed it. Now we're at DocuSign. Same with advertising. Advertising in 2008, 2009, we were the biggest advocator of Gulf News. So the Gulf News paper is where we would spend our money. We don't spend any money on any print anymore. Everything that we do is digital. And I think there's still a few companies holding on to the old school approach of digital, but of print. But digital now is 24/7. The papers, they last a day and they're gone. Where listings on portals and aggregators that are there for a long, long time, and it's a fantastic business. Being a portal because effectively we need them. There's no beating around the bush. They generate us a lot of business, but we also pay a lot of money for them. So. They are a key component in the property market. I think you've seen that two portals have merged in the last couple of weeks or so, creating a £1 billion business. So you can really gauge
which portals are they? Explain.
So Bayut and Divisal have pretty much merged into one company, and I think one of them was valued at $400 million. The other one was valued at $800 million, something crazy like that. So you can see the amount of money that is actually in it. It's effectively media, isn't it? It's a media tool to advertise properties. It's an Amazon of real estate, effectively. For the same with Rightmove and Zoopla in the UK. They are worth £1 billion each. I think Zoopla is, again, this figure rough, is £800 million value. So there's a massive value in terms of property portals, and Allsopp and Allsopp. And I think every estate agent is linked and loyal to their lead generation, definitely.
But do you find that, you started in 2008, and I'd love to talk about your view then on the recession and everything. But from a digital point of view, these things were starting. What made you choose the type of company that you've chosen? Basically, what was your kind of business plan or business idea? In terms of the option in real estate, you could have maybe looked at creating a portal at the time or doing something else.
Okay, so two things. First of all, talking about the business plan aspect of it, I think a lot of people spend a lot of time writing a business plan, and I've seen people come to me with 50-page dossiers, and people would be so surprised if they saw me and my brother's business plan, 2008 to today. It's not really much different. It's a one-page action plan. So when we set it up, we had a goal. We want to bring estate agents in. We know how to do the job. This is what we need to do. We need to market here. It's very basic. And then push forward 12 years, it's the same type of calculation. We know how much a member of staff brings in. We know how much we need to spend. We know how many viewings we need to do. So there's a model behind our business. It's not just look. So for instance, we know how many listings you need to generate to sell one. What the viewing to sale ratio is. So it's not a crazy business plan, but when we set it up, to be honest with you, and this is the best tip I can give anyone, is you've got to go 2 feet deep a little bit. You've got to sort of trust in your instinct. I remember when we opened the company in 2008, I knew sort of what was going on, but we just put all our money into this rent and this office, and everything that I've worked for 4 years, I put on the line. And what I'd always say is being in that environment, I think, gives you that added fuel that maybe you need to work harder and longer and better, because there's no turning back at that point. I think it's 2008. I remember we got the keys to the office. It was on our Wassell Road. There's only 4 people to start with, including me and Carl. And it was 5,000 square foot. Wow. So there's 4 people in this massive villa. And I remember we couldn't afford to, so you can imagine a 5-bedroom villa. We had 5 bedrooms, and we unlocked one and put tables in there. We couldn't afford to fund the other 4. So we locked them and just said they're under renovation to the staff. And then when we got more staff, we're making more money. We unlocked bedroom 2 and then bedroom 3.
Cool.
And I remember, it was just a bit of a crazy time, but that's how our business is pretty grew. pretty much grew. It's very organic. I mean, I always tell a story to everyone. When we had a boardroom in our first office, we had this boardroom and it didn't have a door in it. And my brother was like, "We need a door in the boardroom." I said, "No, until we make profit, we're not having a door." Month 2, we had a door. And that's pretty much how the business grew over time. That's our business model. We're very organic. We don't take any outside investment. And we know what we're doing. You know, I've been doing this since 16 years old. So, you know, I'm 34 now. So I've got a lot of experience. And I worked out we've moved in nearly 50,000 people into homes in Dubai via the Allsopp and Allsopp brand.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I just think you sort of figure out your business plan is just you do what you're good at, and we're just very good at moving people into homes.
It's amazing. You were very young when you started it. You know, that must have been daunting.
No, not really. I think when you're younger, you've got nothing to lose. It's the only thing that you've got to lose is maybe your pride and your ego of telling people you set a company up, and you know you're now the CEO to then close it down in 6 months. But one of the main things that got me through all of this was the stubbornness. You know, I was very stubborn. There was just I wasn't going to let this fail at all, and that's why I was getting up at 7 a.m. to go be in work and leaving at 11 or 12 because I just had to make it work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think when you're younger, you have less fear. I think if I did it now, if I'm going to be honest with you, put my cards on the table, I think maybe I would be thinking, oh my God, my daughter, my wife, our mortgage, you know, that our investments, I've got to look after them. You're young, you're fearless. I think everyone should have a go at it when they're younger.
Interesting. Just touching, I think, you know, related to the, what do we call them, portals or the platform or the prop tech side of things, usually they raise a lot of funding, right? Like the VC, things like that. So yeah. I guess that answers the question that if you had done that then, you would have let go a lot of control and you would have set up a different type of a business. You would have hired engineers as opposed to people who are kind of going out and meeting people and you know, who know the property space.
Yeah, I think I'm not a big fan of VC, to be honest with you. I think that if you've got a good business model or business plan, why do you the venture capitalists? You know, you've got to try and grow it organically. So many people are raising money on the back of a business that's not really worth that money. I've seen so many technology companies that make no money, but somehow they're magically worth $100 million. So, you know, I get the whole concept behind it, but for me, it's a reason that I think I'd struggle to be a public listed company or take money because our business, not just me, is a bit of a maverick. We do what we think is good for the business, and it makes you very agile. If we took money, we wouldn't be able to be agile. We just wouldn't be able to go and make these changes and do, because we'd have to tell everyone every time that you want a penny spent, you would have to make sure that's being dealt with. You know what I mean? Who's
Yeah, but so a lot of the kind of theory around, sorry to focus too much on tech, but a lot of the theory around these aggregators and these portals is that they're disrupting a previous model. You know, the OPAs or OTAs, the travel portals might disrupt a travel agency. You know, back in the day, our parents would go into a travel shop and we'd look at brochures. You know, and like, were you threatened by that in the last 12 years? Did you think for any second, oh, I don't know if what I've set up is future-proof for this digital world?
No, because I think people are always going to need people at some point. I think there's been a couple of models that have tried to launch. One of them was Purple Bricks in the UK. And they tried to digitalize the whole process, and they're doing quite a good job. But how and why that becomes such a successful business in a short time and ended up failing is, again, they raised money on a business, and then the money started losing business. The business started losing money, and now it's no longer, you know, they've cut all the costs. They're no longer on TV in England. Because at some point, there's going to be a point when they go, okay, we can't fund this anymore. You know, they can't raise this money. So there's always going to be threats in the business, and the threat is technology. I think that the tech will always, you know, whether you are a driver and it's, you know, a Tesla car taking over your business, or media and having an AI system, you know, pumping reports out for you, or real estate. You know, for instance, I know people have got digital locks on doors now where you don't even need an estate agent to come and do the viewing. But in our industry, there's so much behind the scenes. It's quite funny when you speak to a buyer or seller and they knock you commission. They say, I'm not paying you that. You only open the door. behind the scenes, there is prospecting, whether it's door knocking, going to ask someone if it's a house for sale, the flyers, the emails that go out, the calls, the networking, and then to upload the pictures and upgrade them and create the 360 tour, and then do probably 30 viewings to get a sale. There's quite a lot in our business that happens before the sale happens. So obviously, when you talk about Amazon, it's click a button, you want that, you go and get it. I can't imagine any person at the moment for their home saying, oh, I like that type of property, I'm just going to buy it, because you don't know if there's a fire hydrant in front of it or a skip next to you or whatever it may be. So yeah, I think what a business like ours needs to do is move with the technology that's happening at the moment. That's what we're doing.
And in what ways? I think you mentioned Amazon. Jeff Bezos has a quote saying, your margin is my opportunity. And, you know, if Amazon come into the real estate space, in what ways would you adapt? And, you know, I'm talking to someone who's set up a company in the digital era. It's not as if you're not doing lots of things already. But, you know, like obviously there's the business service. And I think what customers don't understand sometimes is that when you're doing an Amazon or a Deliveroo, those companies are running at a loss. So all the things that they're doing actually should be charging you more. So how do you approach that?
It happens now. I mean, for instance, you know, when we're agreeing a sale, the amount of times a tenant or a buyer that's agreed to buy it through us gets a call from some random person that says, I'll do it for literally next to nothing after we've agreed our flat fee. Our flat fee is 2% to the buyer, 2% to the seller. So any estate agent, when they sell a house, will always get 4% on the sale. And we've had people come in and go, no, we'll just do it for 0.5%, no problem, just to get the deal through. So there's always going to be that disruption factor. I think that the difference is how anyone can overcome that is, number one, make sure you are doing a better service than anyone else. That's the reason we built all this prop tech. It's the reason we're continuing to build it. Is my goal is to make it really easy to buy or rent or view a house from us. And secondly, you've got to make sure you've got the most leads. And at the moment, my ideas behind it, how my investment and marketing tools work, is you invest where the eyes are. The eyes are currently on property portals. So if Amazon wanted to come into the segment, that's cool. But two things, they've got no listings, and they'd have to invest on a portal like us, like Property Finder or Debizzle or Bayut. So they wouldn't be doing anything different to us, except from if they're going to discount their fees. And that's what's happened with Purple Bricks. But I have a genuine theory of business. If you charge cheap money, unless you are Amazon, it will run out at some point, because there is no margin. You know, the only reason Amazon or Apple or these companies have low margins because they're talking billions of turnover. An estate agent is not going to be in the billions. It's just not. So, yeah, I just think that there's always going to be someone trying to chip your fee, whether it's technology or whatever it is, but you've got to make sure you're doing a better job. And, you know, one of the reasons a lot of people do come to us, even when someone's offered a cheaper service, it's such a big purchase of property. Would you want to risk it with someone you've never met before, don't know their brand, and trust them with the biggest purchase in your life? Not many people will.
Yeah. How did you get so established? How has Allsopp and Allsopp become such a household name in real estate in the UAE and obviously in the UK as well?
Number one, time. I think time is big. I mean, we spend a lot of money on branding. I mean, quite an important thing that I like to get across to people is that, you know, we do spend a lot to make sure if you're searching for a home or you're in a city we're interested in, we sponsor Coventry City Football Club in the UK. They're just about to win promotion.
Read that. Yeah, that's amazing. Hope they do. Hope the season isn't cancelled.
But even as long as it's not cancelled, you know, even if we've got to play our games, we'll finish top. I'm sure of it. So, you know, just something like that. You know, we've opened an office in the UK, and when we opened the office, we spent money on marketing with flyers and digital. But we also, when you go to a Coventry City game, at one point there was 25, 30,000 people with your logo on. Even if they don't know who it is at the start, if they support that club, they're going to figure out who it is, and they're going to ask questions: who are our sponsors? And one of the best feelings is just walking into your home city and people are walking with your shirt on. They have no idea who I am, no idea at all.
That's so cool.
It's just very cool.
Yeah,
we spend a lot of money on marketing.
Did you? Sorry to go on, because I'm a big football fan as well. But used to go to Coventry as a kid, see the football, and then you sponsor the football team? That's an amazing story.
we are literally diehard football fans. If we're playing Football Manager, we are Coventry City. If we are playing FIFA, if we're wearing a shirt, normally it's Cov City. It's just we're diehard. I remember going there in the 90s, in the early 2000s. We were in the Premier League, and it's not really a business decision. It's more of a heart over head. You can't calculate a shirt sponsorship how much money it makes you, because it won't be a lot. But I know, as a Cov boy that comes from Coventry, I sponsor my hometown football club, and it's just an amazing feeling.
But marketing-wise, like okay, it might be emotional, but you've obviously done something right. A lot of people will recognize you on Love in Dubai because you're so prominent on your social channels as an individual. It's associated with that name, and sponsoring a football club is something that the biggest brands in the world do, whether it's MasterCard or Match.com even do it, and things like that. It seems to be something that's proven. And going back to the question about being established.
Well, Coventry's last two sponsors were Subaru and Peugeot.
Wow.
You're right, and that's probably half the reason we've done it in business terms, is that we want to give clients a bit of comfort when someone goes, well, I don't know who you are, and you just go, well, let us show you very quickly what we're about. I think it just puts a lot of people at ease that are dealing with the right people.
Yeah. Going back to the business plan and this sort of establishment question, do you have a mission or a goal? Do you want to be do you have a mission or a goal?
The goal and mission changes every year. The reality is, if you just take the cold, hard business and not talk about anything other than that, the goal is to keep growing year on year. I think this year so far, pre-COVID, we're up 38% year on year turnover.
Wow.
The year before we were 50%. The year before that was about 40%. So business goal is to keep growing, and obviously turns into a more profitable company. And the more profits we're making, the more we can invest into technology and offices. So, I think maybe 2 years ago, 18 months ago, we pulled the trigger on 3 offices at the same time in the Springs, Jumeirah Golf Estates, and the Palm Jumeirah. So we've got plans to grow. We've got plans to grow the turnover. But, if you said to me, what's my goal? I want to be ahead of the curve in anyone, to be honest with you, in the world in property. And honestly, the technology we've built at the moment, I've researched all the companies in the world, and I'm talking the biggest billion-pound companies like Compass. If you go and search who they are in the US, I've searched their technology. I've searched Foxtons. No one already is where we are. Purple Bricks, for instance, what they offer is not even our level, and they're worth hundreds of millions of pounds. And this is exciting because we're only just getting going. So, my goal is I want to be known as the go-to tech company for property tech company in the world, and I believe we can do it.
I can kind of, in the 5 years that we've been doing this little media business, having a kind of a vision or a goal like that helps not to change ideas too much, helps not to pivot. And I can imagine if I had done this when I was in my early 20s, I would have had so many times that I would have had, when things are difficult, that you just try a new idea. How did you retain that focus over time, and how have you stayed on the same path?
I've seen a couple of companies, real estate companies in Dubai, that have, said, they're going to go and get a certain amount of revenue from China next year, or they're going to do this next big investment, or off plan is the next big thing. And to be honest with you, our motto in business is just do what you're good at. I know that no one will be better and have the processes and experience of moving a genuine family into a property, whether it's rent or sale. Now, we've been in the investment industry, i.e. we've been involved in everything you can imagine, from London. We've sold properties in London, Manchester, Glasgow. We've sold off plan. And what it comes down to is that we're okay at that. So, I don't want to be okay, and to get up and running near them levels, we would need to spend money and years of experience to get to that level. So, we won't deviate. We will keep, as Dubai gets bigger, this is how Allsopp Allsopp gets bigger. So, for instance, Mira hands over, we create a Mira team. When Damac Hills hands over, we've got a Damac Hills team. Dubai Hills. Yeah, when Dubai hands over a new product, we turn and create a team of experts around that. The perfect one is Dubai Hills. I mean, that's handed over about six months ago or so, and now we have 8 people specifically just working in Dubai Hills, and now we're the experts in there and the go-to people. So yeah, just my advice to anyone that has a business is don't deviate. Just do what you're good at and build around that.
And the Dubai sort of, and we can talk about sort of 2008 and now in terms of the economic climate, but Dubai is very associated with real estate because we see all these massive towers. You must be very aligned with the kind of growth. You must believe in Dubai a lot. Has that kept your focus here?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, Dubai's changed my life forever. You know, I couldn't thank Dubai highly enough. If I'm 80 years old, sitting in a rocking chair in the south of France in a nice chateau, the one thing I'll be telling you is that Dubai is the place that made me. You know, I come here as a boy at 19, and the amount of money and experience and friends and watching this city grow. I was telling someone the other day that when we were in the Al Road office I was talking about, we were selling Burj Khalifa, and it was just 3 stumps in the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going back to 2008, I think it was, 2007. And I remember looking at it thinking, what is that going to look like? And then that gets built, and then Old Town Dorada gets built. And I've just watched this amazing city just be built, and it's ingrained into me, to be honest with you. Dubai is the perfect example of what I am. It's you know, my goal is to grow and to be the best, and you know, to earn people around me as much money as I can. And I, you know, Allsopp's done that very well. It's, you know, it's changed not only my life, but a lot of people that work in my offices that have been with 7, 8, 9 years. You know, I think about them now, and I think when they're coming over £1,000, and now they live on the golf estates in Jumeirah Golf Estates, and they've got Range Rovers. One of them crazily bought a Ferrari before and sold it because he couldn't turn up to viewings in a Ferrari, selling a villa that's probably worth less than that. And you know, they've bought investments, and they've just done these amazing things. And I look at them and think, fair play to you. And that's what Dubai is. Dubai is just creates a lot of wealth and happiness. And these people have gone on to have families, and they're bringing their children up in Dubai. And you know, it's just, Dubai is ingrained into me, and I couldn't thank Dubai enough for what it's done for us, and it's only going to do more. You know, I think people that knock Dubai are the same people that knocked Dubai in 2008, and it will be the quickest place in the world to bounce back.
Interesting. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The people that you bring on board, the team, how do you identify them? Do you have a kind of a recruitment process, and how do you know when you found a good one?
So it's such a good question, honestly, such a good question, because I've literally toyed with this for years on end. And I think we're very close to figuring out who the right person is. So when we first started, what I was looking for is someone that was an estate agent, someone that had got experience, and, you know, I know they were at the right age. And it got to the point where these people say, yes, I'm an estate agent. They would come in and they just wouldn't fit into our ethos. They didn't work hard enough. They wasn't positive enough. So we really scaled back our recruitment ideas of what we were looking for. We had a good chat about it, and we mapped out who were the top 5, 6, 7, 8 people in our company. And one thing came to light with it is that these people had a really good personality, whether they were a strong personality or a likable personality. They were good people. They then were very competitive, so they were in sports generally. So the best lads in our office, for instance, all played football at a high level, rugby at a high level. They cycle professionally, or they're doing Ironmans. So the type of DNA that you're getting with these people, you can start to build the character. Then you've got to have empathy. And obviously all these things that we talk about, a CV doesn't do it justice. And that's why my theory with CVs is a little bit outdated, or they're very outdated. So on our website, someone wants to apply for a job with us, they send us a video and they attach their CV. But within that video, you can gather if someone's like, hi, how you doing? I'm interested. If someone goes, hi, I've got 10 years agency experience, you know straight away, you're like, okay, you're probably not going to fit into what we want. So my method over our madness is people over paper.
Interesting. Have you written down values and things like that you look for in people? Company values for Allsopp and Allsopp?
Yeah, I mean, we've got values. The main things for us is honesty and integrity. That's the big thing. You know, if we've not done something right, then we'll put our hands up and deal with it. I mean, there's been examples. I can give you the perfect example of, you know, something that's cost the company money, but I had to do it because I didn't want the integrity of the business. So maybe 6 years ago, we had a lettings team of about 50 people. and they were kept agreeing people to move into houses. People would give us a deposit and they would agree to move into the home. They would hand over the checks. And what would happen is the estate agent would just disappear. So they'd stop picking the phone up and they'd stop WhatsApping back. And, they're trying to do their new deal. So I identified, it's like, this is not good. It doesn't look good for us. I don't want the clients to have bad experience. So we decided off the back of that, the best thing to do to offer the type of service we need and the honesty and integrity is that we've now brought in home move advisors. And these people, once the lease is agreed, they have with the curtains, the move-in, the DIY, the do, the Ijari. We've got everything set up to make sure that the taste at the end is a sweet taste, not a bitter taste. Because, I've been on the other end of it. And once you have a bad experience, you don't forget that bad experience. So, we're doing as much as we can to keep our values in place, which is our honesty, integrity, because it's a lot of reason people come back to us. You're always going to have someone complain. That you can't hide away from that. When you move in 50,000 people into homes, you're never going to have 50,000 happy people because there's some things that are out of our control. But what is in our control, we will make sure the client gets the best experience, definitely.
Interesting. I'm kind of seeing a theme here that if you identify something that could be working better, and then you invest in it, you put money back into it, and it might cost you money. For example, if you have a pure sales team that aren't incentivized with after sales, you'll take some of your profits and build an after sales team.
That's exactly what we did. So honestly, you probably hit the nail on the head there. So one thing we like to do, when we see something that works or doesn't work, we bring it in-house. So, for instance, we had a mortgage team that we were working with before, and they're a very good mortgage company. We've seen it was a good business, but we're getting a couple of complaints about the service, so we bought a mortgage company. And we brought all the process in-house. We're doing the same with the after sales. So when we agree a sale, you've got to take it from the MOU signing all the way to discharging the mortgage, going to developers, paying the service fees, and getting the effectively the sale completed. And we started to get a lot of complaints about 7 years ago from external companies. So we bought a conveyance company, and now we've got 8 people that just involved in the process of getting the sale across the line. And what we've done, you pretty much hit the nail on the head, and we keep doing it now. We just keep internalizing something and buying into we're buying into the client's experience. We want the clients to have that experience. And like I said, my worry is I don't want reviews on Google to all be 1 star and everyone hating our service. The money's great and the company does make money, but the clients need to be happy as well. And that's, if it costs me money, it costs me money.
But some of these things are expensive. How have you done the prop tech solution? Have you hired engineers and developers in Dubai? Have you used third party? And how have you, because it's also something new. I'm sure you're learning a lot about it
every day. So based on the story that you've just told me, it's pretty much going to roll straight into what you've based on what you've analyzed our business on, is going to roll straight into what I'm about to say. So we've got a company that's developed our website and our technology, and we spent a year and a half building it and getting it up and running. And about 6 months ago, we employed a chief technical officer, and he now works for us, and he was working for the company that was working for us before. So we still use the web company, we still use all their technology, but we now have the top guy that was there. He now works for Allsopp Allsopp, and now he reports to me and he translates what I want in dumb terms into technology terms. I'll say to him, look, this is what we need, it needs to do this, and he will go and map it out, speak to our tech team, and he will get them to build it. So we have done exactly what you said we were going to do. We found something that works, and we've built it out. And to be honest with you, just this morning, I had a couple of complaints so when we're doing a viewing, at the end of a viewing, we send you one link of all the properties you viewed, and you go on there and give the feedback for the viewing. So there'll be 5 properties on one URL, and there'll be a drop-down box to say what your thoughts on the property was. Had a complaint this morning that's gone straight to him because one client got 5 WhatsApps from us saying, give us feedback, click these links. Sent that to him straight away. It is sorted. Yeah. So that's the beauty of bringing everything in house. You know, when I talked before about having such an agile mobile business, even though this business is getting bigger, because it's mine, I can steer in any direction I can. Which with a VC or an outside investment, I'd have to go and get approval. So that's probably quite a bit of a secret sauce, what you just said a minute ago.
But I think what you've done is a really good example for a lot of people across industry, because people think of tech as, I'm going to get someone to build my apps, or look at what, say, Property Finder or Bayut did, and we raised a lot of money. And they're daunted by the middle part. And the middle part, actually, how you've done it is one person who can speak my language, and one person who can speak my language and code at the same time is able to, it doesn't need to be hundreds of thousands of dollars and a huge tech team. You can have a brilliant tech solution with 4 or 5 people.
When we got it up and running, I think it's probably cost us $250,000, probably minimum, to get it up and running. But, you know, the reality is that one person that we've got in, he outsources all of that work to 50 people. So I don't need 50 people on my books. But one of the good things about technology for me is that we already have a business that works. You know, and this is the crazy thing. I've seen a couple of startups recently start. There's not going to name the names of them, but they're new companies that have gone in and they've tried to create this new prop tech. And it's great. I love the technology, but you've got to have a business that runs with it. It's like Apple trying to launch the Apple Arcade, which is a new thing that come out. But if no one's buying the iPhone, what's the point of the Apple Arcade? So it's, you know, again, Tesla can give an update every week. But if no one's got a Tesla, what's the point of the update? And that's what I see at the moment happening a lot, is people are building this technology without a revenue or a business. And the other scale of it is people that have a business don't want to invest their profits in technology. There's not many businesses around that do what we do.
What about the likes of Airbnb and, you know, even in the hotel spaces like Oyo and things like that? What do you think of those?
Booking.com, does that come under one?
Yeah, those kind of travel portals, and yeah.
Booking.com is the only portal I've used in the last 10 years. I've never booked a hotel from any other site. And the main reason for that is, and it's because it's easy. You know, it's the same reason I pretty much use Deliveroo every day. It's just easy to use, isn't it? You don't need to play around with it. You can book it. So yeah, all of these aggregators have a place in the market, as long as I think the main message is it's got to make the consumer experience really easy. Booking.com, I was on there today, and you go on there and it GPSs what's around you and what's closest. You can search via price, and you don't need to, you know, in today's world, why would anyone go into I couldn't think of anything worse with about travel agencies than getting in my car with my wife and my daughter and driving to Donata or wherever it is and say, where can we go on holiday? Let's talk through. Why do I need to do that?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely a place in the market for them. If anything, they've made Deliveroo, Uber Eats, Booking.com, Airbnb, these places they haven't disrupted the market. I honestly think they've taken over the market with their business model. They've not disrupted it.
They've added to it. But in terms of your space, there's a few, say, what do we call them, short-term rental or longer-term rental property companies now on the prop tech side in the UAE. Are they a challenger, a competitor, or do you see them in the same Airbnb space?
So I think one of them recently launched about 6 months ago. I think it's the guys that own Cafu, I think, that launched it. And technology looks really good.
Urban, yeah. I've seen the ads, yeah.
I mean, the technology looks good. I was actually speaking to one of them before, but the biggest issue they face is that they don't actually know what they are, I don't think, at the moment. You know, are they going to be a portal or are they going to be an estate agent? Because I was looking at their listings are on Property Finder, and you know, they want to be a portal. So I think with them, they have the ability to be a really good business, but it's like every business. They need products. You know, Urban can set up and they might be amazing, but they need properties. And this will be, I can see them potentially having their downfall. They need listings to be able to rent. And that's where a lot of people are talking about the technology. You can build this tech, but if they don't have, working from home, just knock my finger off the screen then. If they don't have the listings, then the business becomes null and void. It doesn't mean anything with the technology and no listings. And this is what I talked about before. There's a lot of companies that are building technology without a fundamental business in place that's already running. They would have been better off. I don't know how wealthy they are, but going and buying a smaller real estate company with an operation and pushing their tech into it that's already got turnover. But who am I? You know, this guy is obviously a very wealthy guy.
Okay, interesting. I'm conscious of the time. I want to talk about the consumer market space in real estate at the moment. What are your views on it? I personally I bought a property here in 2013, I think, and it's in negative equity. I'm looking at the market and the prices have dropped massively in the last year. Is it a good time to buy? And how do you view?
How do you feel about that? Let me ask you that question. Are you disappointed with that, or are you okay with that?
Personally, I'm okay with it because I don't mind. In 30, 40 years' time, I'm probably still going to be living there. I'm personally, I'm okay with it because I'm living in it, and it wasn't. It was that type of investment. But just looking at it, I'm not an expert on real estate. And obviously, if I bought it now, it's almost half the price if someone's looking at it. So
here's a question for you then. So how long have you lived there for now? So 8 years?
Yeah, 2013, 7 years, yeah.
7 years, okay. So how much would that place cost you to rent?
I'm not sure. Maybe 70 at the moment or something like that.
So let's call that 7,428 by 420,000 dirhams. I guess it's not gone down 420,000 dirhams.
Nearly. I think it has.
Okay. So let's say it's gone down 420.
Yeah.
You are still in a better position because you have discharged your mortgage at 5% a year. So every year on a 20-year mortgage, you are 5% closer to zero, which means you own it cash. So even if the market goes down, it doesn't actually matter if you live in it. It just doesn't matter. My house is down in value compared to what I bought it for. It went up. I think I bought mine in 2012 and it went up like 20% in 8 months. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then obviously it drops and it dips. But my message to you is that you're actually winning even in a declining market because you would have just pumped 420,000 into rent over 7 years. And people have this mindset where they go, I'm not buying because the market's down. I'm just going to rent. And you're like, well, I think we've missed the concept that you still have to pay money somewhere. You either pay it to your own property, and at some point you're left with this asset, which if everything drops in value, yours is worth that value as well. Do you know what I mean? So whatever, if you go and sell your house, your next property that you want to buy will also be a lot cheaper, but you've actually got it owned in cash. Where if you do that with renting, you walk away with nothing. So as long as you're an end user, it doesn't matter if prices go up or down. They will fluctuate. At some point, they will boom. But going back to the consumer end of it, the type of people that we're dealing with, and I don't know if you've seen my LinkedIn post I put on like last week where I put our sales board of all the deals that we're doing.
Yeah.
My job at the moment on social media into people is to let them know the world hasn't stopped. The reality is that if someone wanted to buy pre-COVID, that's a life choice. It's not a short-term investment. They're just saying, I've been here 10 years. I don't want to pay rent. I'm going to buy a house. And to be honest with you, they're that cheap at the moment. I talk about Burj Khalifa. You can buy for 1.5 million dirhams. Dirhams for the icon in Dubai at 300,000 pounds.
Wow.
Like you couldn't even get a studio in London. Not even a 300 square foot studio for the price you could buy Burj Khalifa. And people know this. What we've seen is that there's two angles to what's happening at the moment. Angle number one is there's a lot of big sales happening with cash. And I mean by that, in the last 2 weeks, not my company alone, but I know other real estate companies that are putting on their social media, they've sold a 20 million dirham, a 30 million dirham. Someone sold 18 plots in Jumeirah Bay to an investor that wants to use them for a hotel. There is a lot of big deals happening, but the other aspect to it is that the end users are buying a house for themselves still.
You did math really quickly there. That was beyond me. But,
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's interesting. But I'll ask it like in another question. I look around and I see lots of buildings and I think of supply and demand. And then I see Dubai, how it visually looks and compare it with Hong Kong and New York. But then know that if I invest in those markets or even London, that they always have, property is always expensive there. Or it holds value. Do you see, post-COVID, when things bounce back, and irrespective of just real estate cycles, are we living in a city that will have really expensive property compared with in New York and in London in 10, 20, 30 years' time?
I couldn't give you an answer on it because there's been a few times now when I've said, I think the market will go up, and it hasn't. So no one has a crystal ball because the only metrics I can give you are people moving to the city. So how you can gauge whether or not Dubai is going to grow is not based on how many people are buying and offering. The first thing that people should look at is what the economy is. So for instance, in 2008 when I moved here, the population was 1.8 million. It's now 3.1. So the population is growing every single year. So these houses that are getting built, I remember in 2008, people going to me, 2006, sorry, JBR, who's going to live in JBR? There's too many towers in JBR. They all sold out. Same thing happened in Damac Hills. No one's going to live in Damac Hills. They sold out. And the list can go on and on. The problem we face here is people trying to get on the ladder. There's so many people that I know would get on the ladder now, but they don't have the 20% deposit. I know the loan to value is literally just changed from 75 to 80, but the UK, you can get a 90% mortgage. So if they want to really facilitate end users, and that's how you're going to get the prices up. But no, in short, I couldn't say to anyone right now, we'll be at London prices, because I just can't imagine, I can't see them going to that level. There has to be a bounce back, because let's say if you wanted to sell yours, I guess you've got a mortgage on it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a mortgage on mine as well. Once you reach that mortgage limit, which is probably where we're both at the moment, someone offers you under that value, you're not selling it. That's as simple as it gets. Why would you pay to leave your house? And that's when you reach the bottom of the market, because there becomes that stagnation where everyone just says, I'm not selling, that's the price. And that's very close to where we are now, or where we are.
So how do you run, last question in terms of, related in a way, how do you run a UK business and a UAE business, and what's the future hold for Lewis and Allsopp? Allsopp and Allsopp, sorry.
Okay, so to run a UK and UAE business is very frustrating, in all honesty, because obviously different time zones. When it's 3 p.m. here, it's 12. When it's 9, it's 6 when they finish work. So key to having a very good international business is have really good management. You know, one of the best things that we do is we overpay our management compared to else in the market, because you don't want to lose them people. You want to make sure they're part of what you're doing. So having good management and having good reporting in place is massive. You know, I know when our weekly meetings are. I know when my reports come. At the end of each week, I get an email from the director in the UK to say how many valuations we've booked, how many viewings. So you can gauge the success, and then you put action plans in place for them to do. Regarding where Allsopp and Allsopp's going, our focus is heavily on the UK and specifically the UAE. You know, we would like to potentially open another office in Dubai in the next year or so. We've got 51 people waiting in the UK to jump on a flight to Dubai. So the growth of the business is there, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing, try and do it better, invest in technology, and you know, just keep excelling in what we're doing. We don't need to. I always say to people, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I have now 12 years of historical data of how much we write per month, per year, how we do it. Our model is just to grow that. It's just to keep growing what we're doing.
Good note to finish on. And thanks for, you know, it's so positive, refreshing to hear a success story during this time. And I'm sure everyone else listening will agree. So thanks for sharing. Congratulations on the success so far. And hopefully we'll chat again in the future.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Lewis. Thank you.
See you later.
Hey guys, I'm Richard Fitzgerald. This is Dubai Works, where we interview the business leaders making a difference in this great city.
That business with scalability was very interesting to me.
I like building something that has legacy.